Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to this overview of the Planet Coaster 2 section of the June Frontier Unlocked. So we know now that the June Planet Coaster 2 update is coming on June 30th. It's a June update by the skin of its teeth, last day of the month, but they have got it under the wire and we're very excited for it. We won't be going over everything in the update this time. We already know that the pirate theme is returning, the fantasy theme is returning, there's some de-themed coasters and a few other bits and bobs. Today, I'm really just going to be taking a good look at the new features, the gift shop and the on-ride photos that they showed off in really great detail in this Unlocked, and then also the future of Planet Coaster 2 and perhaps the slightly opaque and maybe a little distant and unknown future of Planet Coaster 2, but we'll more on that in a minute. Let's do the cool new stuff first of all. They started off by showing how the gift shops work. They showed this gift shop in the last Unlocked back in May, but it was already all populated. Now they've sort of emptied it out to show the process of it. This works very similar to restaurants that we received in the last update, in as much as that you can place down these shelf units and then attach them to a counter, and then they work as a gift shop just using regular pathing. Really looks fantastic, honestly. There's a lot of different shelf pieces to use. There's some tall ones, there's some short ones, there's end pieces, there's specific ones for t-shirts, there's little holders for balloons, and if you just want to play this super simple, you can place down these pieces, you can connect them to the gift shop and click go, and all of the shelves will randomly auto-populate with the stuff that the gift shop has selected. You can then go in and honestly really quite in depth adjust what is shown on these shelves and what the gift shop actually sells. I was honestly, when they first showed this and they just pressed the button and it just filled up with a load of random crap, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, I guess. But then having gone in, they actually show you how each shelf, every individual shelf, you can go in and select exactly what is shown on that shelf. Even nothing. You can have nothing shown on the shelf and it still work as a game, you know, a game asset. The guests will wander over to it, grab what they want, and take it over to the counter to pay. So the customizability here is fantastic. There's a range of mugs. All of the mugs have there's one for each theme. There's a hat for each theme. I'm going to guess there's a t-shirt for each. They didn't show every single item here, but there's quite a lot to go on, and yeah, it looks really fantastic. And the fact that you can select individually what goes on these shelves, or even nothing. And they also said, I don't think they mentioned it today, but they also said in the May Unlocked that every piece that is populated onto these shelves, the mugs, the t-shirts and whatever, they're going to be in the game as just a scenery piece as well. So one thing I will say about these shelves is they do look a little empty. Like they're not incredibly populated. The hats, for instance, they're just a single hat on each shelf, like it's some sort of really fancy designer lids store. But they're gonna, if they're coming as scenery pieces as well, we're going to be able to stuff those things in there. You know, there's cool plushies. There's a little unicorn plushie they showed for the fantasy theme, I think, or the mythology theme, perhaps. It's probably the new games themes, I'd imagine. We'll be able to put, fill those up, like make barrels filled up with those and what have you. So, but the fact that all of this sort of stuff is also in-game working, I just think it's great. Personally, the economical side of the game isn't really something that interests me that much. I know a lot of people would like to see improvements there, but this game for me is a diorama builder. I just like to make pretty looking things. Saying that, as I've always said, just having the guests interact with this stuff adds such a lot to it. At the moment, all of the gift shops we build, the guests just wander by them, or maybe you can cheat a little info desk in there or a drinks place in there to have people at least walk through them. But now you're actually going to see people walk over, take stuff from the shelves, walk over to the counter. I don't necessarily know if they're holding the products, probably not, but even still, just having the guests wander around the space adds a lot to the just sort of the vibe of the build that you're working on. So I'm really happy to see these come into the game, even as somebody who doesn't really necessarily care too much about the economical side of the game. But hopefully, if you do, this is a great way to generate income for your parks as well. Also, then the other thing they showed us was the on-ride photo system that kind of is tied into this. You don't have to build this as part of a gift shop, but obviously, it works quite well as part of a gift shop. It's a separate counter to the gift shop counter. It looks nice and generic, easily coverable. We like that, and the screen on the back there has been one that they've added on that doesn't necessarily come with it. But the way this is going to work is you're going to go onto a roller coaster track, and there's a new tab up the top that also has the the sync coasters. So if you want to do like a dueling coaster or what have you, that's moved now into a tab that looks after that and this. So things to do with the track, I guess, now has a tab. They only mentioned roller coasters. I am going to be interested to see whether this also works on things like log flumes, rapids, and then also even just, you know, dark rides or what have you. Most of them will have a camera point at some point. Maybe this is the sort of thing where they've got it into roller coasters and then later on we see the add to other rides. We just don't know yet. Here they're showing it on a mine train coaster with the dethemed mine train that's coming in update 6. So you're going to move your mouse along the track and you're going to find a good spot for a camera. The game actually cares about where the camera goes based on the excitement, fear, and nausea, the EFN rating of the ride. You want the nausea nice and low. You want the fear to be, you know, safely scary, and then you obviously want the excitement to be through the roof. And wherever you pick, the ratings there will dictate how many people buy the photo, whether people buy the photo at all. You know, if you've got the picture sat on the lift hill, they're just not going to be interested. They want to see arms up, faces smiling, waving, and what have you. So you're going to pick a good spot at the bottom of a hill, you know, the big, just after a big loop or a big bunny hill or whatever, you know. So a good spot for the camera, and then you're going to place it down, and it adds a really nice generic small camera. And I can't emphasize how much I'm happy that this is just a little sort of security looking camera. It's exactly what we needed. I don't know if it was mentioned whether it was recolorable or not. It'd be nice if it was recolorable because it's currently a bit of a sort of orangey color, but if not, you know, this is pretty good. You got to remember, this is Frontier. There was a back of my mind worry that this thing was like a piece of track that you had to fit in, and it was like a big tunnel that had Photomatic 3000 written down the side. The Frontier of the past would have done that, but they're getting a lot better at knowing that for the most part we want to keep this generic. Now obviously more casual players maybe want something a little bit more obvious, a little bit more crazy looking, but for the people who really care about this stuff, we want it as plain as possible because we want to be able to make it work in the build that we're working on. Whether that's a realistic build or not, we want to have the option to make this thing look like how we want it. So I'm really, really happy that this just is a simple camera that sits there, and then you can adjust where it sits on the track or around the track based on the train itself. So when you go into the camera options, it generates a train for you, and then you can move the camera around and see both where the camera sits in space, in sort of real life, for want of a better word, but then also it shows you what the camera is looking at and what that photograph looks like. And that's mostly cosmetic. The game really cares about where it is on the track regarding those excitement ratings. And then you can go through, it'll take a photo per car, which I think is fine. I heard a few people in the live stream mention that they would like to see it per row. Per car this is okay. I'm happy with this, honestly. As I said, I've got a lot of ride photos over the years with random people on them because it just takes a photo of the car. Like there's me and my partner, or me and my kid, or me and my mom, or whatever, and then just two randos from Texas behind us, and that's fine by me. I'm not bothered by that at all. And yeah, you can move the camera around on the axis where you like it to be, and then once it's running, it will flash as the car goes past. Fantastic. Just really, really great feature. They went so in depth with this, way more in depth than I thought they had to. Like I said, I assumed this was going to be a piece of track or just a camera that you click on the track. The detail they've gone to with this is fantastic. You then go into the screen. Again, this screen is not necessarily attached to the counter. This is just any billboard in the game. When you go into the billboard, you can select a Planet Coaster video. You can put your own image or your own video on it. There is now a new tab that says coaster. It looks like the little coaster image. You click into there and then you select the photo of the coaster, and I'm pretty sure it's just any in the park. There's no proximity issues here. Obviously you're going to build it nearby, but I don't think the game has to have it nearby. And you'll see here it's got Splinter, and then Splinter Car 1, Car 2, Car 3, Car 4, Car 5. So the Splinter is that coaster we just saw. So you can have each screen show a single car, or if you just click Splinter, it will show like a split screen of some of them. So you've got that option there to have all different ones. And then these update in real time. So it'll show you the last images it took. Really great, because then it's just constantly changing. It'll go through all the different faces. You might see the occasional empty one if you've done like a test run or something. I think just really, really great stuff. Just that vibrancy, that realism, that vibe factor. It's just, I can't really put it into words necessarily, but it's just all of these little things that really lift these games up into the next echelon for me. Just that all the little details really, really work well. So this looks fantastic. Really great system. Both systems here, I think, are incredibly polished, incredibly in-depth, way more than they perhaps could have been. I'm very glad that they're in depth as they are, but I wasn't expecting all of this customizability with them. And obviously it's coming with the fantasy and pirate theme and lots of other things. We'll have a better look at it next week once it's out. But I just wanted to cover these two features and then also talk a little bit about perhaps something not quite as fun, which is the fact that this is the last monthly update for now, at least, that we're receiving. I wasn't really expecting monthly updates to carry on, if I'm going to be completely honest. The fact that we had that roadmap that showed updates 1 through to 6, and it kept getting added onto, but it never went further than that. I kind of came up. Some people were expecting, a new map today that said 7 through to 12. I wasn't expecting that. I did think that perhaps now the game is at a point now, personally. I know this sounds, we've talked about this a lot, but this to me feels like what 1.0 wanted to be. I think this is perhaps where they really wanted the game to be at the launch. For whatever reasons, we'll never really know, but it did feel like it came out a little early. It definitely came out unfinished. I feel like with all of the features they've added, all of the scenery they've brought back, all of the updates they've done, all of the bug fixes they've done, I really feel like the game is in a fantastic place right now. If you are not playing it and somehow watching this, give it a go. Reinstall it. Or even if you've been on the fence about buying it, I genuinely would recommend it at this point, especially with this update coming next week. I think the game is in a really great point. So I wasn't expecting these updates to continue. Unfortunately, all we got in the live stream was soon TM. We're going to go away for a bit, but we'll be back in the future with some more stuff. I would have just loved something a little concrete. Even if it was just we'll hopefully be back in a few months with an update and a DLC. Or we'll be back. We won't be here for the next unlock, but after that, wait to see us. I would just like something a little bit more than, like, all they've really said is we're still developing the game. Like, that's all we have to go on, is that it's the game is coming. And honestly, perhaps we've been a little spoiled with these monthly updates because it feels like there's just been a constant flow of new stuff. Yes, there's been an update every month, but then also there's been this unlocked every month where they tell us what's coming. For the most part, content creators have had access to these updates early, so they've had videos come out on release with the new stuff as well. And it just feels like the game has just been popping. We've just got new stuff. Check it out. And to go from that to, well, we'll be back at some point, did fall a little flat for me, unfortunately. Like I said, I wasn't expecting another 6 months of these size updates. I'm not really expecting that many new free updates. I feel like we'll probably move into the tried and tested Frontier system of quarterly DLCs alongside free updates. And honestly, I think at this point I'm happy to see that. I would have just liked to have heard something about that plan. Like I said, just a little, expect us back in September or something like that, just so I'm not sat around constantly wondering what's happening next. If I know that September is when we're going to hear some more stuff, then great. I've got 3 months to play with what I play with. I'm not going to worry about waiting for stuff. I'm just going to enjoy the game for what it is. And obviously it's always risky putting a date on stuff. It's always risky saying we'll be back XYZ because they've got to stick to it then. But they have just showed us that every single month they've had an update out within the month that they said they would have, and it's pretty much had everything that they said it would have. This one, June update, it's coming out on Monday the 30th. By the skin of its teeth, it is a June update still. And they've all been towards the end of the month. They've all got a little closer to the month, so perhaps they have pushed themselves a little to get these done. But at this point, I feel like to go from that monthly updates and constantly showing new stuff and being able to put these really, pretty well fleshed out features. The restaurants, they're pretty solid. I'd like to see more customization in the menu options. I'd like to see maybe a couple of dozen plates that we can select from so that people look like they're eating stuff. Like my rib restaurant that I built in Planquatica, they're all sat there eating cheeseburgers and lasagnas. It'd be nice to have a few more food options. But for the most part, the system works well. It's a nice generic kitchen. It's a nice generic booth. and it works really well. And these look even better than that, personally. This gift shop and this on-ride photo system, an incredible level of customization, exactly where I want them to be. To go from all of that for 6 months to just see you later, we'll be around when we're ready. I think that's a little bit of a screech, a little bit of a punch on the brakes, and I would like to have seen a little bit more information about what's next. I'm not saying that there had to be something next month. I'm not even saying that it had to be, you know, anything in particular, DLC, content, whatever. Just a rough idea of what we're waiting for would have been nice. But I don't want to leave this video on a downer. These have been an incredible 6 months of content updates, and they have got the game to a really, really great place, and I'm very excited for Update 6 next week. Yeah, overall, great stuff. I would just love to know what's next. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Lots of Planet Coaster content on the channel, as well as other creative games too. Love you all to bits. Until the next one, be good.